So let's get started with the biggest story of the day in sports. And I'm sure all of you this evening, when you're watching us on your second screen, will be locked in to something that hasn't happened in over 70 years, which is a team going up 3-0 in the Stanley Cup Finals and having it come back to tie 3-3. It's all on the line tonight in Sunrise. It is Game 7, and it is a pick'em, basically, on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Look at these odds for a Game 7 at home. The Panthers, a very, very slight favorite, no plus money at all, minus 114 on the money line, total 5.5. A lot of these games, as you will see coming up, have gone over the total. In fact, the last 4 games have gone over that total. The Panthers came out dominating in this series. For those of you who've been sleeping on the finals, they won 3-0 in the first game. They won 4-1 in the second game. The third game was exciting, probably the most exciting game of the series. It was 4-3. And then the Oilers stormed back, and look at the goal scoring, 8-5. Folks, tonight, SportsGrid is your place to be for Stanley Cup Finals Game 7. Essentially, history is going to be made. Either the Panthers, who went up 3-0, are going to end up winning this thing and forget about what happened, or the Edmonton Oilers are going to make history and come back down 0-3. Incredible story developing tonight. Keep it locked here to SportsGrid. Pharrell and In-Game Live, all of them have you covered. Meanwhile, we got some breaking news in the NBA. A new head coach has been hired. This time, it is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Stadium is reporting that Warriors assistant Kenny Atkinson is the new head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Process was down to Atkinson and Pelicans associate head coach James Borrego. Atkinson, of course, the top assistant with the Golden State Warriors. Cleveland was really good last year, so yeah, you try to make sense of this. I can't, but needless to say, Cleveland has a new head coach going into the NBA season, which begins in just a few months. And by the way, the draft is this week. All right, over on the PGA Tour, a very exciting finish, but yes, Scottie Scheffler wins again. This time he outlasted Tom Kim. And by the way, outlasted, that is the proper word. My gosh, Tom Kim really makes the most of every shot, doesn't he? I don't know if you saw him playing yesterday. Just, played and played and played. Took his sweet time on every shot. First player since Tiger Woods in 2009 to win 6 times in a single season. By the way, I don't know if you caught this yesterday, but in addition to Scheffler playing great, Tom Kim playing great, by the way, down the stretch, there was a 5-minute delay when 6 people stormed the 18th green and sprayed it with red and white powder. Yes, this happened. And the people wearing T-shirts, "No golf on a dead planet." A lot of people protesting this for the environment. And you don't see this very often in pro sports, but boy, they plan this out right? To wait to the 18th hole to get people like me to talk about it here on the show. So certainly we are. Scottie Scheffler won the event and, of course, was asked about this protest at the end of the tournament.
Yeah, it was a great finish. This golf course produces a lot of those, the exciting stuff coming down the stretch. And so it was nice to be out there competing. It's great competing against one of my good buddies and Tom Kim, but it's also very difficult at the same time. I want what's best for him. And so sometimes it can be hard. And I think for both of us, battling against each other out there, but it was a lot of fun and, proud to be sitting here with the trophy. Yeah, it was definitely a bit weird. I saw one person out of the corner of my eye, and then I saw about 5 police officers sprinting around, and, from my point of view, they got it taken care of pretty dang fast, and so we were very grateful for that. It seemed to go by really quickly to us, but when something like that happens, you don't really know what's happening, so it can kind of rattle you a little bit just because there's people running around the green and there's police officers running around the green, and you don't know if they're peaceful. You don't know what they're doing. You have no idea what's going on, and so it can be a bit stressful. But fortunately, I was out there, and you could kind of see me and Akshay talking to each other for a minute, me and Tom talking to each other for a minute, just basically trying to calm down. That can be a stressful situation, and you would hate for the tournament to end on something weird happening because of a situation like that. And so I felt like Tom and I both tried to calm each other down so we could, give it our best shot there on 18.
Yeah, fun finish yesterday, sort of overshadowed by the protesters yesterday. Of course, the Open Championship, the next major championship coming up in July. All right, College World Series is getting hot as well. Tennessee beats Texas A&M. They force a Game 3 at the College World Series tonight. Incredible series in Omaha going on this weekend. For those of you who are missing this, it's been great. Giancarlo Stanton goes on the injured list again, 8th time in 6 years. He's only played 69 of the Yankees' first 79 games this season and not going to play a ton going down the stretch. Meanwhile, interesting note here for these cable wars. I wonder if Simon Applebaum will talk about this with us, but the Miami Marlins are basically, because their games are not being broadcast on Comcast because of the rights fees and this dispute, they're basically saying we're going to let Miami fans watch this for free for 2 months through Bally Sports. They're going to pay for it so you can log in and watch baseball. I wonder if other teams are going to do this as well with all these carriage issues going on. Meanwhile, yesterday in Major League Baseball, Edwin Diaz was kicked out of the game before he threw a pitch. Apparently too much sweat, too much rosin on the ball, sticky substance. Remember this in Major League Baseball when they incorporated this? It was a lot stricter. But yesterday, before he pitched in the game, he was thrown out. And Diaz said that basically he didn't use any foreign substance. It was just basically him doing his normal routine.
Agree that this was stickier than you usually are, or was it essentially the same in your eyes?
I think it's the same. You know, they always check me. They always check me and they let me pitch. But today was hotter than early in the season, so I don't know. They thought it was stickier, so I take the suspension.
And will you adjust anything going forward?
No, I will keep using the same thing because they didn't find anything in my glove, my hand, my belt, so I will keep using.
Did they think you were using too much, or did they think you were using an illegal substance?
I think they was thinking I was using illegal substance, you know. But like I said to them, you know, you can smell my hand, you can check, you can do whatever you want. I will always use the same thing. Thank you, guys.
All right, so that's the explanation from Diaz. The explanation from Carlos Mendoza, the manager, basically saying too much is not good enough.
But you know, it was they thought it was too much. You know, Diaz kept saying it was rosin, sweat, and dirt, and Vic thought that he crossed the line there, and you know, obviously the rules are the rules, and you know, they made the decision to throw him out.
Did they say it was too much rosin, or did they think it was a different substance?
Yeah, he just Vic said, you know, that's a little too much. So, and I got to do my job, and that was all to it. So.
Are you okay with the way that all went down?
Well, obviously, you know, the rules are the rules, you know, and MLB is doing what they're doing because they have obviously really good reasons, and we got to stand by, you know, and obviously Diaz went over, and, you know, obviously we'll feel it, you know, because we're going to play short now, and yeah, so we got to move on, and obviously we got to stick to the rules here.
As Mendoza mentioned, Edwin Diaz will be suspended for this incident. Now, over in the WNBA, very exciting game last night. Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky come back to defeat Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Angel Reese, 25 points, and she is just grabbing those boards. 16 boards again for her yesterday. 88-87 the final. Meanwhile, the New York Liberty crushed the Atlanta Dream 96-75. Brianna Stewart had 33 points. Cavaliers making other news today, closing in on an extension with Donovan Mitchell. And naturally, they hired their head coach today. The NBA draft, by the way, is coming up on Wednesday. In the NFL, the Green Bay Packers have approved a gentleman by the name of Ed Policy as their new CEO. So he will take control over the Green Bay Packers. Orelvis Martinez, an infielder for the Toronto Blue Jays, gets an 80-game ban for a PED violation. Tommy Paul wins his first grass title at the U.S. men's ranks. And also Amy Yang wins the KPMG Women's Championship over the weekend on the women's side of golf.